Welcome, everybody, to another rendition of The Lone Wolf Show. And you're watching Witchcraft TV on www.witchcrafttv.online and streaming worldwide on Roku television. And we got a killer band from Toronto, and they're called the Wylde Muses. The Wylde Muses from Toronto. How you guys doing? How you doing?
Hey, we're doing good.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us on there, Harold. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So I did stop by, uh, prior to the interview, and did listen to your song about Bridget. I think it was recorded maybe 6 days ago, or it was uploaded, I think, 6 days ago to the streams. Tell me about your band. Where did you guys meet? How did it start? Give me the rundown.
Sure.
Okay, we actually have been performing around southern Ontario and a few other spots in Canada for about 6 years now. A couple of the original members unfortunately moved to other areas geographically and couldn't continue. We do a lot of work in big festivals and sort of concert venues stuff. It tends to be geared more to larger crowd type of things. And it's a lot of fun, of course, at festivals because we're doing sacred chant stuff. People get up and dance and rip off clothing and all the other fun things. And I was lucky enough it's been about 4.5, 5 years that I've known Connor, who is in his own right a terrific writer of Celtic and mythological song and pagan chant and so on, and happens to be involved with us in craft practice too. And we hit it off, and he started working with the group, and now he's, I think, pretty much as important as I am in the band for sure, right?
I don't know about that.
He's contributed a lot of really good material.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and so lately we've been doing a lot of performances at pagan festivals and pagan events and so on, Pride Days and things like that, and we've been lucky enough to get a couple of kind of bigger venue performance gigs in Toronto as well.
What's a pagan pride look like in Canada? It's probably not much different from the United States, but what's a pagan pride festival look like in Canada?
So generally, like pagan prides for us, we get a lot of the members of the community show up, especially like vendors. So we have like a ton of vendors show up. We also do like rotating musicians throughout the day as well. So generally, it's like a 1 day kind of event. We get a lot of really cool events, a lot of cool musicians that come on. We've been on 2 or 3 times, I think.
Yeah, that's correct.
About
in
2
the
or
Toronto
3 times.
Pride, yep.
But overall, like it's a really great event. We also have like workshops and classes that get put out as well. So like for example, if people are wanting to learn how to do like chants, or how to structure ritual properly, or kind of like incorporating energy work into their practice. So we have a lot of volunteers come up from the community that want to kind of share some of their knowledge and experience. And it's a really fun learning opportunity for a lot of people, but at the same time, it's really fun overall, right? You get a lot of really talented artists in the community able to like show off a lot of their skills. And on top of that too, we also do like charity, like silent auctions, charities, things like that as well.
Yeah, we're lucky actually in Toronto. The pagan pride was getting pretty thin for a while there, but over the last decade, it's really picked back up. We're up to 700 or 800 people attending now, and typically 35 to 50 vendors. It's a big show now, and a lot of fun. The rituals are terrific. Big variety of different cultures they feature, so it's not just the same style of ritual over again. We've had Greco-Roman, and we've had British, and we've had Italian, and we've had chaos magic, and all kinds of cool different things. People like the OTO and so on. So you actually really learn a lot just from getting to attend those different styles of working. Yeah.
Any particular other musicians that you've played with at a festival up there that you enjoyed working with?
Sure. Well, I guess I can get this one. I've been lucky enough to play quite a bit over the last few years with Jessica Mondello. She's also a Toronto-based musician, and she was assigned to a major label for many years, and she's done a lot of touring. She's super talented. And we still play from time to time with Michael Moon. He's sort of like an elusive forest creature. He's unbelievably talented, and he'll just disappear mysteriously for 3 or 4 months and then show up again. And he'll literally, we'll be let's say up at Unicamp or one of these other pagan site kind of things, and he'll just appear out of nowhere in a sarong, and then we're reassured he still exists, and then we play for a few months, and then he just disappears again. But he's great though. He's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
And as far as like the type of instruments do you play, and what kind of instruments is normally playing with the Wylde Muses?
Generally, like baseline piano, vocals, of course. We're trying to incorporate more drums into it, but it's a little difficult with like the current amount of members that we have. I'm still trying to get my brain to focus on playing a beat and singing at the same time. With ADHD, that's not always easy. So I'm working on developing that and getting better, especially at playing the bowran, which is like an Irish drum.
He's getting quite good, actually. He's being, I think, a little bit modest. And Frances, our other singer, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, she's terrific, but she's very sick. She plays guitar as well, which is nice. And it's just lovely having, you know, the extra layers of instrumentation.
Absolutely.
I like that. If I could clone myself, I would like to play bass and keyboards and drums at the same time. You'd have 3 very bald guys in the band. And the glare would be very intense. But
we would need lighting.
Yeah, typically what I'm trying to do right now, but because of my background in progressive rock and stuff, I'm playing 2 or 3 keyboards at the same time. So I am playing bass and guitar and keyboards at the same time, all through the keyboards usually.
As far as like music, you know, I want to say that, you know, it's a pagan music's almost come into like a genre, it seems. You know, some people may or may not disagree with that. But what do you think the hardest obstacle, you know, being a pagan modern contemporary band is? You know, what's the biggest obstacle?
Okay. Well, I think one of the things that must be, I think, frustrating for a lot of musicians, not just pagan musicians, is that we're starting to see the ubiquity of kind of manufactured music through AI and loops and so on, that it's drowning everybody who's an actual playing musician who has skill on an instrument or skill with a voice, and it's making it harder for them to be found. But the reaction we're seeing, at least in the Toronto and outlying pagan communities, is that people want live music with real human beings actually playing, you know?
There's a considerable difference as well between like having a live musician versus like projecting it. Like you're able to feel the instruments, you know, being able to hear, because like Toronto has like a huge music scene, like lots of miniature concerts kind of like dotted across the city, and it's a huge passion of Toronto for like being able to get out and kind of enjoy live music. Absolutely.
Yeah, it makes the city a lot more livable. It's pretty crowded, but there's a lot of good creativity.
Oh yeah.
You came up with a really good point with, you know, with the AI. I see that a lot, and sometimes I'll hear some witchy music or pagan music, Celtic music, Norse music that's AI generated, and I can't even really tell the difference. But if you really, really listen, you can you can just kind of figure it out. And I do think that's a hardship for not only musicians, you know, in any genre, but also authors, you know, because of, you know, AI, you know, infused books and things. And I know a lot of the stuff, you know, in the occult and witchcraft and Wiccan communities, you know, from maybe the 60s, 70s and up, a lot of that stuff's watered down and a lot of it's more experienced now. But maybe musicians from the future on is a lot more personal, where that in your face actual live presentation is going to become the real fruit of, you know, what it is to be a musician. Because you really can't, I mean, you can go up there and hit a button and say, you know, we made this on AI, but when you play those actual, you know, tunes or keyboard or piano or, you know, turntables or guitar, or so yeah, that's an interesting way to, I'm glad you said that. That makes a lot of sense. Would you be pro AI or against AI, or is it just a tool? Explain to me AI. People have different opinions on AI, and I'm still evaluating it too. I'm trying to be as open-minded as possible.
Well, first of all, in case they become our overlords and gain access to the nuclear weapons, we salute our AI overlords and hope they won't bomb us. But entirely aside from that, I think it's essential that humans still continue to pursue creativity, even if it's possible to be replaced, right? You know, the advent of, I'm old enough that I remember in the late 80s how people said that drum machines were going to replace all human drummers. But if you go and watch a concert, it's always a real human drummer playing, because people want that vibe, the energy of a real human being actually playing the instrument, giving it that power, right? And I think this is maybe the same kind of a thing where it's going to be a novelty for a while. And I'm all for it, helping people as they're learning to create music. But I think people, especially live, are always going to want to see human beings creating the music themselves, right? And that may come in different ways. You know, like just even the last 15 years, the DJs doing really cool things. That's still human creation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So AI may end up jamming with humans and stuff, and that might be interesting too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really feel like humans always will have a desire to create something and to learn how to do something. So I think, I think we're kind of seeing like a pendulum swing back and forth, and I think we're gonna kind of see it to start to shift a little bit more as well. But Evan's right. Like, I think it's important to use AI as a tool to kind of assist you, like if you're just getting started or if you're learning or whatever else, right? It really depends on the medium you're using. But like, when it comes to like songwriting, I prefer to like kind of like mill over some lyrics or a certain melody in my head and kind of go with it, and then eventually I'll get inspiration. I'll be able to record that and write that down. And I also work a lot with Evan too when it comes to developing songs further as well.
Yeah, it's so much more satisfying to write with another human being.
Yeah.
And you get the emotional reaction from them. People have different ideas and so on. I think a lot of the best bands in history, think about your great bands that are remembered in history, like the Beatles and the Who and, I don't know, Rush, whatever. They're interacting, and it's the interaction of different flavors of songwriting that gives you pieces of music that are more interesting. People who write on their own in a bedroom, it tends to start being the same kind of thing over and over again after a while, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why I think engaging with the community is also important too, right? Because it kind of helps expose you to a bunch of different different styles, right?
Yeah, sure.
And I think it's important to try different things as well.
Sure. And when we're doing our performances, especially when you get into a big festival, it's always interesting to see what people react to. I guess it depends on what mood they're in. And
Or the demographic.
Yeah, absolutely the demographic. Because there are days when we'll be doing things that are, have got a little bit almost a dance kind of a thing, and people are jump up and down and going nuts at that. Then there are days when we're doing almost more sacred chant kind of stuff that's pretty pure and natural, and they're really all singing and really getting into that depending upon their mood. And then we do a lot of rock tune stuff as well. That's pretty powerful. And there are times when people with more hair than me are going like this back and forth and going nuts, right?
Yeah.
I can't do it with my scalp, but you know what I mean. And it's always it's cool to see who reacts to what. It's always a surprise.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned some mainstream rock bands and things, and you said Rush and the Who. Would that be considered your inspiration with music? I'd love to hear your inspiration for music artists, bands, mainstream, but I also want to hear about inspiring pagan musicians too.
You want to grab this one first?
Sure. I wrote a list down because I have a bunch. So mostly like Liban is a great one. Barry Patterson is an artist that I just came across, especially his song Primordial Sea. I believe he's a member of Obod. But I came across some of his songs through some of the playlists. Through the what's the name?
You're talking about your particular playlist?
No, not the playlist. And like not like an online interview. You know what I mean?
Gotcha,
What's the name of it? It's like an audiobook, but not. You know what I mean? Like kind of this. I can't remember the name of it. My brain's shot. Yeah, podcast. There we go. Sorry, my brain. So I came across it on a podcast, and that was quite good. Lisa Thale is also great. Assembly of the Sacred Wheel, Spiral Dance, Elaine Silver. And then beyond that, I typically listen to music to kind of like help me shift my mood into like what I want to do or what I want to feel. And so I have like a whole variety of playlists with like thousands of different artists that I like to kind of compile. So for me, it's not necessarily like one or two specific artists. It's like a whole myriad of them, right?
Mm-hmm. I want to mention a couple that I'm really being inspired by lately. Peter Pringle, who a lot of people don't know about, he's actually an academic musician that he's studied ancient cultures, different languages, and music. He's a musicologist. And he's a virtuoso on a number of ancient Middle Eastern and Near Eastern instruments, many of which haven't been played by anyone else for thousands of years, right? And he will recreate things that have been annotated, sacred chants and hymns and so on, to ancient goddesses of the Near East and so on. These are usually things 3,000 or 4,000 years old. And he plays the traditional instruments beautifully and then sings beautifully. So again, Peter Pringle, you should check him out. He's quite popular on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we mentioned Gypsy. I was just listening to her a couple of albums first. That first album of hers was beautifully constructed, great playing. She had a lovely voice. We actually got to meet her at an international religion conference about 8 or 9 years ago. She was great. Anything with chant, though, really, automatically as soon as you get to that. And I think I really like anything that the textualists are doing. So Harold Mosner, for example, if you've heard of him at all, and I'm very inspired by soundtrack stuff. I love cultural music and I love soundtrack stuff. Yeah.
Sounds great. Thanks so much. So the Wylde Muses, who came up with the name, and how does that reflect you as artists?
Okay, well, so I have to give my credit to for this one to my lovely wife. She came up with that. It actually relates to the name of our particular craft group. And it just happened that, people will say, well, you guys are kind of acting like muses. We do a lot of singing in ritual for the community in various situations and so on. And that sort of came from her, and we stole it and ran with it. And we were sort of thinking, well, this will be the temporary band name. And 6 years later, it's still the temporary band name. So I guess we're the Wylde Muses. Nobody's sued us so far.
Okay, how about spirituality? How would you talk about your personal spirituality?
For me, I would say I'm traditional British Gardnerian Wiccan. I also do like to do additional research into like more folk versions of like religions and spirituality throughout Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales. I like to do a lot of research into that, and I like to learn a lot from that and kind of incorporate it into my own personal practice. But mostly it's like a passion for understanding spirituality more in a more complex way by understanding other religions and other cultures and kind of like seeing how it all kind of fits together and how that sort of thread all kind of ties throughout it. That's kind of how it connects to me mostly.
Sure. That archetypal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm also British traditional craft. We do practice together, which is cool. And I also am a practicing Buddhist. So you'll hear a little bit of the kind of the ancient Eastern stuff snuck into our music as well. I think a lot of our music actually kind of relates to gods and goddesses and other beings that we connect to personally, right? And for me, I'm sure it's true for Connor and for Francis as well, our singer who couldn't be here, that the music really exists in honor of those gods, be they Eastern or Wiccan or Greco-Roman or Celtic or Italian. There's so many beautiful cultures that have mythology, and we like to refer back to that, both in the music and in our craft practice.
Patron deities. Any particular god and goddesses that you work with individually or as a group?
Go for it.
Well,
a few.
There's definitely a few. I generally personally tend to lean more towards like Celtic deities because that's kind of like specifically like Irish. Like I like working with Brigid primarily, and Carnunos. Brigid and Carnunos are kind of like my top two kind of facets. But I've been leaning more recently towards Lou, and also in the past as well as Manana MacLear as well. I'd also had a sort of a drawing towards the goddess Inanna as well. And in fact, like the song Inanna Queen of Heaven, which is another song that we've written, is calls specifically to her, and it incorporates actual like poems and hymns to Inanna from the past. From like archaeological digs and things like that we've been able to translate, which is really cool.
We're trying to bring back some historical music as well.
Yeah.
For example, there's a particular tune that we do, Io Isabella, which is an old Italian tune about a girl who was trapped by her brothers because she wouldn't do what they told her to, which is a good classic theme in pagan songs and so on. And so she actually wrote this rather sad song where she's dreaming of being free and out in the forest dancing and spinning and singing, but she was actually trapped in her home in a single room until the time of her death. But it's a beautiful story, though, and the music is lovely. I love historical music for that reason. It tells stories that are a little more complex than modern music.
Exactly.
In terms of patron deities, I think I do a lot of devotional work to Tara. And, of course, any compassionate deity is good by me. I like any of the forest deities, if nothing else, just for the nudity. But certainly because a connection with the actual flow of life is very important. As a Wiccan or a pagan, you have to refer back to forest and nature. It's where we came from, right? Aphrodite, of course, and her connection to all things, not just human love, but the love of all things. The Morrigan and Hecate for their wisdom and insight. Freya, for that protective quality and the kind of the warrior, but also the mother, the strong mother, those kinds of things. There's so many. I think we have 11 altars. I can't forget to mention Ganesha.
Yeah.
If we don't give him candy every other day, something happens, something breaks or something falls. He has to be fattened up on a regular basis.
What are the chances of y'all sharing some of your musical craft with Witchcraft TV and your viewers?
We could definitely do that.
I think we could do that. I'll play a little intro for you. And we're gonna actually do a song that's one of Connor's, and it's actually called Connor's Keen. It's quite beautiful in a Celtic style.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna bump off camera just for the performance, so we get you the whole screen.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thunder and humming of bees. God and goddess, lead me home. Leave behind my flesh and bone. Look not in the graveyard, for I am not there. Turn to the forest, your 1,000-yard stare. To the streams and the leaves of the wind, rumble of thunder and humming of bees. God and goddess, lead me home. Leave behind my flesh and bone. Look not in the graveyard, for I am not there. Turn to the forest, your 1,000-yard stare. To the streams and the leaves, rumble of thunder and humming of bees. God and goddess, lead me home. Leave behind my flesh and bone. Look not in the graveyard, for I am not there. Turn to the forest, your 1,000-yard stare. To the streams and the leaves, the wind in the trees, the rumble of thunder and humming of bees. God and goddess, lead me home. Leave behind my flesh and
Yeah, I really appreciate that. That sounded really, really good. Really, really good. And we were talking about, in the beginning of the interview, like when like the tech gremlins, this is the internet. Like there was so much power and you get like that. There's so much power going through this, whatever technology mankind has created for itself. It kind of like froze up things and it didn't level out until like the beginning. But I do have some really, really good clips that are for reals. Is that particular song available on streams right now?
As a matter of fact, we're literally going to be recording it right after this. So the answer will be
Nice.
yes in about 2.5 days. Yes. I
Okay.
think we're going to be putting it first up on YouTube. Yeah.
It's really, really cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I like that a lot. And who does most of the songwriting itself? Is it shared?
Yeah, I would say it's a fairly even split.
Yeah, we're lucky. We came into this, I think, with a lot of material. He'd already written some really beautiful sacred chants just as we were meeting him and so on, and he keeps coming up with more, and I always have more. I don't know about you, but I keep waking up from dreams where the goddess hands me another thing. Quick, write it down, Evan, before you forget. So I sprint out of bed in my underwear, write things down really fast before I forget it all. So I get a lot of tunes. I think we're up to 30 tunes. We keep saying we should probably trim our set list, but it never gets trimmed. And then, of course, Francis also has written some nice stuff that we're going to have to work that in as well.
Absolutely.
So if we add any more members, it's going to be a 6-hour concert every time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to tread the waters of oath-bound things, but during a ritual, a Sabbath, so to speak, do you have dancers too? I mean, do you have people that are doing choreography and doing particular movements and skits, with the music, or is it just like music?
Well, so I can certainly tell you when we do a lot of work with the NWC, Karen, my wife, is the head of both the NWC International and the Canada one at the moment. We're doing some pretty big rituals in Toronto, and often there are certain dance components that are planned, but we do actually get a lot of people just doing spontaneous dance and so on. We'll sing at those rituals.
That's the best kind.
And the wonderful thing is that we have some really talented vocalists and musicians who come just to join us and so on. Andrea with the curly hair, she's amazing. She's got an operatic voice and so on.
Very powerful.
A good harpist named Sissy who often comes to the NWC ritual. She's terrific. So it turns into it's a concert and a ritual and a couple of other things besides. Sometimes even some baking occurs.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say we were able to pack quite a few songs in there. Any really space that we can pack it in to kind of make sense, we'll just see if we can insert whatever we can.
So are you
at the moment?
Yeah, are you NWC yourself as well? And what's the it sounds like an abbreviation. What is the NWC?
Sure. Okay, I'll get this one. So the NWC is the New Wiccan Church of Canada. It's the NWC International, to be NWCI, I guess, has existed since 1973. It's a sort of a loose affiliation of people who are initiated into British traditional craft of various kinds. So it's pretty specific to those groups of traditions that have existed a long time. Not just Gardnerian and Alexandrian, a lot of the related long-living traditions. Because a lot of things have grown out of Gardnerian and Alexandrian and are their own thing now, but they're still considered to be in that family. I think there's about 105 members or something in the States, and now quite a few in Canada.
And growing.
And growing, yeah. And it's nice because it gives it, often small group covens, they get kind of isolated and lonely. This way we get to connect with the larger community, and now we're doing more public circles, and I think they're starting that in the States too, which is great.
Oh yeah.
In your tradition, do you consider yourself bards? Do you have a bardic program for?
Yeah. Okay, you go for it.
I'm not sure if I would technically classify myself as a bard. Certainly as a musician, a songwriter.
Right.
Sure. I know, well, of course, OBOD has bards as a classification, but I don't think we particularly put a title on it.
Yeah. Yeah. We do, however, try and make sure that we train other musicians so that A, they can sing in tune. That's very important in any pagan context. And B, they can keep reasonably good time with drumming, even if it's not fancy.
Yeah.
We sure do a lot of workshops for chant and drumming in the local area to try and encourage people to develop skill.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if you've ever been to a pagan festival, and the person who takes up the drum, who's only drummed that one time that entire year, it's not going to be good, right? So maybe there we need AI, but you definitely want to encourage people to develop skill, and that's one thing we're trying to do with the community, teaching people instruments, songs, songwriting, and the use of it in ritual, the sacred use of it for toning and raising of consciousness and so on.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have music within our celebrations and rituals and so on, because we already know how much, how strong speaking is, the power you can put behind it. And when you have everyone combined together to be able to sing, create a beautiful melody, but also go into chant and stuff like that, it can have a really solid impact on the experience and on the intention of the celebration, right?
Sure, yeah. Song, of course, is the core of raising power in many Wiccan and pagan traditions. It unifies the breath, raises energy. If you're going to have a cone of power, you got to have song or chant of some kind. And rhythm ties people together in consciousness and gives them something to focus on.
Yeah.
Us Westerners tend to have our minds drift if we're not focusing on something for very long. Yeah.
So you talked about pagan prides up there in Toronto. You regular that. Is there a pagan festival that you're going to be frequenting? This, spring's coming up, summer's coming up. A lot of the big pagan festivals really come out full blast during the warmer months. Any particular gigs lined up? You coming to the United States?
That's a little scary at the moment, to be honest with you. So certainly we have actually an NWC music event that's happening. We're lucky that we were able to get access to a really huge convention space in Downsview in northern Toronto. It's amazing. You can fit in easily 100 people there.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to actually be doing a day of music on July the 18th at Downsview. And we're going to be playing, and I think we're going to have at least one other guest musician playing. We're going to have workshops on drumming, singing, sacred toning, a lot of things related to music and also music in meditation. So that should be a lot of fun. And we're going to be we have a little Pico Fest that we host. We're going to be doing some concerts, I think, up at Unicamp. And we might be convinced to be dragged back out to Firelight if they can put up with us one more time.
Firelight. And also beyond Toronto Pagan Pride, there's also Hamilton Pagan Pride and now Durham Pagan Pride, right?
Yeah.
So we're starting to spread.
It looks like we probably will be playing at Durham Pagan Pride, but we don't have that confirmed yet. Again, it's a question of can they tolerate us for another year?
One of the last questions I want to ask you is a lot of seekers and different people watch Witchcraft TV, whether on social media or on Roku or on our websites and things, and they may themselves be some kind of musician, and this interview may very well inspire them. What would be your advice to them to go to the next level of being a pagan musician?
I think the biggest thing is to practice enough to feel confident, and when you get to that point, especially if you can grab a friend to work with, well, get out there and play in front of people. One of the great things about group practice and paganism and Wicca, and that's part of why I think it's coming back, is that it's about people doing things to contribute to the sacred. It's not some person up there in a pulpit doing the thing for you. And so music and dance and art and all of these things, these people can contribute. Get out there and do it for people, and that's how good connections develop.
Absolutely.
I definitely appreciate y'all coming on to this station and sharing your creativity and music and magic with us. And I really look forward to hearing this song on the streams on YouTube. Aside from this particular song, which now I'm attached to forever because it's part of my interview and my history with you guys, because it's not even released yet, which is always a plus. But every time you go to that pagan pride up there in that circuit in Canada and things, what's that one song that you as a group collective play that everyone always expects you to play because, well, it's your best song? What's that song?
You pick one and then I'll pick one. This is hard to choose.
Well, there's more than one.
Yeah.
What's the most successful one? Most successful song. Most views on the streams, most asked for at the festival. The one that I'm going to ask to play on the station.
Okay, so I think a lot of people really love the Anana song. He wrote that, absolutely beautiful.
Okay.
It's got that kind of ancient Near Eastern feel. He also has a lovely hymn to Bridget that a lot of people ask for. One of the Barry Patterson songs,
Primordial Sea. Very, very
love
good.
That. We do get some requests for Rising Up from the Well. That's one that I did. It's almost it's pagan, but it's almost a little bit bluesy, gospel-y. I know that sounds strange, but it works really well. And we do a really good funk version of Kundalini Shakti. I know that sounds strange because that's a traditional Eastern chant, right? So Kundalini Shakti.
Lou the Sun King.
Yeah, Lou the Sun King. That's a big one. So those would be some of the ones we get the most. And they're not performed the way you usually would hear them with people just singing in a room. There's a couple of them that have turned into almost metal tunes, and one of them that's definitely a hard funk tune. It's pretty interesting.
Absolutely.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the viewers before we part ways? again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you also. Thank you all for showing up and being here for the interview. This is really cool. I don't think we've necessarily had the opportunity to be like interviewed in this style before, so this is kind of a first for us, and it's very exciting. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and thank you, Harold, for organizing this. This is always appreciated.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. And also the other band member that isn't with us today. We're going to be checking out the Wylde Muses a little bit more right here on Witchcraft TV. Make sure you check us out on Roku Television and also on www.witchcrafttv.online. And I hope to see that growth. And well, if things shape up in America, we'd love to have you down. Lots of good festivals and things down here too.
All right. Thanks so much, Harold.
Thank you.